Hi, it's Leila, the proud poly kinky queer slut. So I want to tell you about something I experienced this past weekend. This has to do with the protests around the Portland ICE facility. I consider myself a casual protester. I do not go to places where I'm expecting to be front lines, but I participate in peaceful demonstrations that are organized and with permits and, hold up my sign, things that are, should generally be able to presume are safe, especially under the laws in the US. So on Saturday, I went down to a protest that was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was in Carruthers Park in Portland, in Southwest Portland. Not too far from the ICE facility, but about a half mile away from the ICE facility. And there was a march route that goes, kind of kitty corner to the intersection where the ICE facility is, but not actually in front of the facility. So we were marching, and I was about 3 blocks away from the ICE facility. And the crowd stopped, and then we heard some bangs, and then there were literally clouds of tear gas coming at the crowd. There were apartment buildings on either side, 7-story apartment buildings going back, in the several blocks surrounding this. Just moments before, I'd been waving at a little kid who was standing out on their balcony, waving at protesters. In the crowd with me were a bunch of families, elderly, some disabled folks. This was an easy, short route protest walk, and it was a union organized one, so that brought a lot of people bringing out families because it was a situation where the presumption was it would be safe, and so yeah, there we are. The bangs happen. I see clouds of tear gas. I haven't been around tear gas since I was in college, and frankly only the once, so it had been a while. So I will fully admit I wasn't exactly sure how to respond in that situation. So what I did do is I and a bunch of folks around me stopped moving forward, and then folks started saying in front of us, "Make room for the kids." So we did. We pulled back and created space for children to flee tear gas in my community. This emotionally affects me. I can't see parents hoisting toddlers onto their shoulders, running away in a residential neighborhood. Like, it was like literally like apartment buildings. And the apartment buildings were basically acting as a wall for the tear gas so that it couldn't disperse the way it's designed to. And it wasn't just like one tear gas grenade to disperse. I mean, I was blocks away. I was a ways away from this facility. As far as I could tell, the tear gas was going up the road as far as 4 or 5 blocks from the ICE facility. This protest did not actually stop, nor did anyone from this protest, to the best of my knowledge. None of them provoked folks at the ICE facility. I can't speak to who did what exactly. I was not there. But what I witnessed and was part of is a crowd of peaceful protesters, including families, including elderly folks, including disabled folks who were out there, essentially just asking them not to put kids in cages and kidnap people off our streets and kill people for saying no. And we got tear gassed, including the children. So, think what you will about that. I'm not here to tell you what to think. Certainly I do want to voice that I think that some of us who are down there, including myself, have participated in other protests, but not been protesting near the ICE facility. And we did not fully understand how dangerous that situation is right now in terms of how quickly response will happen with how little provocation. And so as opposed to other protests we might have experienced, for example, as opposed to when I protested for Black Lives Matter, about 5 years ago, as opposed to those situations, it wasn't the minimum level of force necessary to maintain safety at the facility, which is what one would generally expect. And so I think a lot of us were surprised by that and kind of caught off guard by that, and probably would have made different choices. Whether or not to bring your kids to an event like that, there is a risk analysis. And I think for a lot of us, we just didn't understand how little it takes for the extreme response that we saw. They did not need to do that. Funnily enough, So after this experience, after we had gotten the water bottle out of the backpack and helped a young adult flush their eyes, after getting myself out to a point where my nose and throat were no longer burning, and the folks with me, we got back to the park, we collected ourselves, and then we were like, what are we doing now? Some folks took off and went home. A few of us were like, let's go have a beer. So we went literally like around the block to a local watering hole, where I could not see the ice facility, but I could look across a field at a building that was like the low-income housing building that's right near the ice facility. So we sat there for about an hour and a half or so, as dusk fell. The protest, it gets dark early here in this winter in Portland, Oregon. So, so dusk fell, and then there was another series of loud bang, 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 bangs, and then there rose another cloud of tear gas. So what I saw was this cloud of tear gas that was taller than the 7-story buildings following these like bang, bang, bangs. So it seemed like a lot of tear gas was deployed. And then the cloud, like a rolling fog, this cloud just like rolling up the street once again, up this street lined with apartment buildings. We're literally like 2 hours before I'd been waving to a little girl on a balcony. So this is really affecting this neighborhood a lot. This neighborhood where the ice facility is, there are certainly regardless of what you think politically about the situation, we've got a situation where tear gas is being deployed in a residential community by the federal government. So it was a lot. It was a lot to see. It motivates me to do more. It motivates me to get out there and protest more, and to, just get a gas mask and put it in my backpack. Not because I intend to be frontline, toe to the line at the protest, but just because even being in a supporting role, that seems to be what's required now. So, take that for what it's worth. But I just thought it would be worth sharing this experience, especially since part of the reason I haven't been posting so much lately is that it's been a little bit overwhelming trying to figure out I'm trying to push the bounds on sexual liberation, and people are getting kidnapped and killed. And, seems a little incongruous. So this weekend's experience helped me come to a resolution on that. I see no reason why I can't do both. Why I can't speak out both against tyranny and oppression and kidnapping of our children and separating families and killing people. I see no reason why I can't protest secret police on American soil and at the same time push for the kinds of freedoms that I want. Because frankly, doing this is part of what it takes to stay proud, because I want to know where I'm at. I want to be able to look back on this place in history and be able to say that I did something and not nothing. So write to your senators, make some phone calls, contribute, give to local organizations, get online and find protests to go to, take action, and, take this as a call to arms. This is, how much farther do they have to go before we actually show up and stop them? So anyway, thank you very much for listening. This is Leela, the proud poly kinky queer slut. Have a great day.